Hey, Gabriel here with the Icon Capture GPS Intelligence Brief for August 26th, 2026. All right, commercial research analysts and business development leads, we need to talk because this is one of those boards where if you only look at the opportunity count, you are going to misread the market. Here's what I want to do with you today. I want to walk through the new opportunity flow, the legislative and executive movement, the regulatory and court signals, and then bottom line what this means if you're actually managing a portfolio right now and trying to decide where to lean in, where to stay patient, and where you may be kidding yourself. Before we start, this is the last brief before this terrain window narrows. The GPS Portfolio Realignment Review Cohort closes after this brief. Zero fresh solicitations. Pursuit Portfolio Realignment. That signal is what opened this session, and it will not repeat the same way tomorrow. The question is no longer what you could chase. It is what is still reachable before this window closes, and what needs to start now for the 12 to 18-month board. Code GPS 26W4 at the-icon.ai capture. Now, let's read the board. So, let's get right to the facts. Over the last 168 hours, GPS surfaced 0 new opportunities posted on SAM.gov, 0 federal hiring signals across 0 agencies, and all of that is happening while market BCL is 0%, with 0 agencies stalled under the continuing resolution. It's fascinating to dive into this month's opportunity flow, or rather, the lack thereof. With 0 opportunities registering on the capture terminal, what we're seeing is not just a market lull, but a potential recalibration period. If you read this market, you'll know that these moments of silence can be just as telling as a flurry of activity. The absence of top postings and a complete stall in BCL %, business capture likelihood, suggests that activity has not just paused, it's been suspended in a way that belies typical cyclical patterns. This isn't about a lack of interest, but perhaps a strategic holding of breath. Accessibility versus raw volume is the real story here. While volume is at a standstill, it's essential to assess who can still access what. The board is indicating a tightening of pathways, not just a decrease in sheer numbers. For managers who read this tape closely, this scarcity doesn't necessarily equate to a negative. It can mean an unspoken revaluation of what matters most in terms of strategic alignment and readiness. As always, the capture ticker provides insights into any subtle shifts, but this week it's clear. All eyes are on the quality of future engagements over quantity. This period invites us to consider the broader implications of such a standstill. A 0 register across major sectors like legislative and executive might seem like a vacuum, but for those in the know, it's a precursor to potential pivots. It's a signal to prepare rather than react, to stay tuned for the next move when the gates do open. The synthesis here is simple yet profound. When the usual indicators go dark, it's time to focus on the infrastructure of opportunity rather than the immediate opportunity itself. Shifting our gaze to the secondary signals, the terrain holds and hiring spread, or rather the lack thereof, paint an intriguing picture. No new hiring agencies and 0 court opinions imply a market holding its breath, perhaps waiting for the next budget cycle or policy shift. For commercial research analysts and business development leads, this vacuum is a space to evaluate market mispricing. Where are the gaps that others have overlooked? This combination tells us that while the surface might be still, undercurrents could be setting the stage for significant movement. The absence of lobbying clusters is particularly noteworthy. In a typical cycle, lobbying activities can highlight where future federal focus might be directed. Without these signals, there's a question mark over anticipated policy changes. However, this void can be an opportunity for those willing to dig deeper. The market is ripe for innovative approaches to value propositions that align with potential future shifts. When lobbying is quiet, someone is usually planning moves in the shadows. What does this mean for smart portfolio moves right now? It suggests a pivot towards introspection and recalibration. This is the time to reassess strategy, focusing on market intelligence that can anticipate rather than respond. The key lies in understanding that while the surface may appear static, the smart money is on those who can predict the first ripples of the upcoming wave. This current standstill is not a period of inactivity, but rather a chance to get ahead of the curve. The current market for GPS technology is characterized by stable federal demand with emerging commercial adjacency opportunities. Are we effectively leveraging our federal relationships to identify and tap into adjacent commercial sectors? How can we utilize system theory to anticipate shifts in demand and adjust our strategies accordingly? What mechanisms do we have in place to ensure that our monthly synthesis accurately captures both the stability and fluidity of market conditions? Our conviction remains firm. A disciplined approach to understanding both federal and commercial landscapes will position us to capitalize on shifts as they occur, ensuring sustained growth and resilience. Last thing before I sign off, and I want to be direct. The GPS Portfolio Realignment Review cohort closes after this brief. When this window closes, the terrain that justified it moves on. Tomorrow's signal will be different. The next session will read a different board. If the brief we just walked through gave you a reason to act, now is the time. Code GPS 26-4, communities.theicon.ai/capture the-govcon-elite. 0.0 million records, 4 verticals ready. Provenance traced from bill to award. Like and subscribe if you're managing a federal grant, research, GovCon, or commercial portfolio. I drop a new GPS brief every weekday. All links, terminal preview, Shipley sessions, live cohort calendar, and the full brief are at communities.theicon.ai/capture/the-govcon-elite. Register free, and it's all there. This is Gabriel. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll need to disconnect you in 5 seconds due to